sort of settled principle of Pennsylvania law, which basically said before Act 192, you had to be actually harmed in order to bring a lawsuit against the municipality. This law sort of changed the rules for standing and allowed outside groups that weren't based in Harrisburg and hadn't been harmed by Harrisburg to sue the city. That was a horrible precedent, terrifying precedent, one well worth fighting against, and I'm pleased one that is going to be overturned in this instant. Now, they can still go to court. The cases are still active, the two that are against the city, but they are now going to have to prove standing. And it is going to be much more difficult for them to prove standing now than it would have before the Supreme Court decision today.
Could they add a local claim?
Okay, hang on. I will totally answer all questions. Yes?
Republicans say they're going to appeal, though, so how would that change the city, paying, or will the city just hold off on paying, and what is that?
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled, and it was a unanimous decision, yeah, the Commonwealth Court has ruled. It was a unanimous decision. They can appeal to the Supreme Court. We'll see, but it was a I think it was the right decision. It was very clear, and it was unanimous. So theoretically, if it were overturned, yes, sure, I guess we would be on the hook. Yeah.
But since this law was struck down, I mean, these lawsuits aren't dead at this point?
No, see, okay, so the lawsuits aren't dead, and the injunction against the city of Harrisburg is still in place. Okay, so we currently have 3 of our 5 ordinances enjoined by the Court of Common Pleas. That is still there. We would like to have that lifted, but there's still a process to go back and lift it.
What about the legal fund? Will some of this, you said $65,000 the city is on the hook for. How much have you raised thus far, and will that go towards that?
Just a few $1,000s, but we'd love to raise more. So if anybody would like to donate to the Protect Harrisburg Legal Defense Fund, there's still time.
On the note of that,
yeah.
I'm sorry. On the note of that
Yes.
fund, is that $65,000 figure including legal fees on the challenge to the Office of Open Records ruling on releasing the names?
No, I think that's all. I think that's all we've done internally. So the $65,000 is the bills from the Lavery law firm, which has represented this outside counsel, which has represented the city on behalf of the 2 gun cases.
I think outside counsel did step in, right, on the Office of Open Records.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not.
How did Open Records rule on that, or have
there's a separate case involving whether or not the city has to hand over the names of individuals who donated to our legal defense fund. We're vigorously fighting against that. We feel that the efforts on the part of, in this case, it was Joshua Prince and his legal team were basically to try and intimidate people and harass people. And we also feel that the law is clear that as private individuals, they shouldn't be subject to the open records law.
Earlier, we had a press conference with Senator Leach, and I asked him if the municipalities like yourself, Harrisburg, were able to recoup any of the funds that you spent to defend yourself. He said he didn't believe that you could. Is that your feeling as well?
I don't know how we could, other than through donations to the Protect Harrisburg Legal Defense Fund. So I think if people are watching this and they're sort of outraged at how this law came to be and why the city was put into this position, we would encourage them to make a donation, and they can send it to the city of Harrisburg, put in the memo line, Protect Harrisburg Legal Defense Fund, and we will put it towards those attorneys' costs.
And where is the 2 lawsuits now? One is federal, one is common.
That's right. One is before Judge Dowling in the Court of Common Pleas. Although we appealed the injunction to the Commonwealth Court, he had ruled. We had asked him to stay the case because we felt the law was unconstitutional, and we wanted him to wait until the Commonwealth Court ruled, as it did today. He didn't do that. He issued an injunction. We've appealed that injunction to the Commonwealth Court. The other case, and that's the U.S. Law Shield case against the city. The other case, the Firearm Owners Against Crime case, the Joshua Prince case, that went to federal court. And that's currently in federal court, and that raises constitutional issues. And we will be making a filing. I'm not a legal expert here, but we'll be basically making that court aware of the Commonwealth Court's decision about the unconstitutionality of Act 192.
So the process it would take to lift the injunctions, how long could that process take?
I am told it's still going to take several months because The judge set up a schedule to hear on the injunction, and that requires the filing of, that schedule does not get superseded by the ruling today. However, I think in the end, we will see the injunction lifted, and that could probably be, I think they're thinking about the early fall. Yeah.
I know that the Republicans we've been talking to who want to appeal this, they're adamant that this is a case about Second Amendment rights. You know, what's your response to that?
I have felt all along that this was unconstitutional. I think, again, we got a unanimous Commonwealth Court decision. I don't even think it was a difficult case for the Commonwealth Court, as evidenced by the ruling. They certainly have, I guess, every right to appeal. I think that would be a further waste of resources at this point, so I certainly hope that they don't.
And then, you know, especially with this process, it sounds like the whole reason this was even built into the Constitution was for the sake of transparency. So was it a feeling with you, at least, that this was a sneaky way of trying to get this law in?
Oh, of course it was, because if they had done it the proper way, they couldn't have gotten it done. I'm sure of it. If folks, even my Republican friends, if they had known what this was going to do and how it was going to affect municipalities, and this had been given a clear public airing at the time, I don't think the law would have been passed. And that's why we have a process in place to prevent laws from being passed in that manner, and that's what the Commonwealth Court upheld. But, you know, it also spoke to this issue of standing, which I think was an important issue, and I mean, I think it is essentially a complete victory in exactly what we had hoped would happen.
If a gun owner comes into Harrisburg and wants to know what the local ordinance says about rules and regulations, because they are very different from municipality to municipality, what is the process for them, you know, as far as getting that information?
Okay, so the first thing that they should know is that right now there are 3 of our ordinances have been enjoined from enforcement by the court. So there are only 2 ordinances which are currently in effect in the city of Harrisburg until the court hears the injunction, and that is the reporting of lost or stolen weapons, and that is I think a very sensible requirement, which does not affect this hypothetical gun owner in any way, unless he were to lose his or her weapon. And then the other has to do with the discharge of weapons. So you still cannot go out and recklessly shoot off your firearm in front of the Hilton in celebration of the court ruling today.